This local sports report is presented by the Inn of Waterloo, a proud supporter of local sports. The Inn is open and is now offering gym and pool memberships to the KW community. Book a room, hit the gym, and go for a swim at the Inn, located at 475 King Street North in Waterloo. Call 519-804-1130 or visit theinnofwaterloo.com.
Let's talk hockey with the general manager of the Elora Rocks. They are going into their first season in the WOSHL, and this is Mitch Scott, who is their general manager. Mitch, let's talk about the identity of this team and what kind of team you're looking to build on the ice when the season starts later this year.
Well, thanks for having me on, Darren. Great to chat about hockey in May when we haven't had any hockey played in 16, 17 months. So first off, we're extremely excited about the season, and the identity of our team is going to be something that we believe fans of Elora hockey are going to be really excited about. We're building a team that is built on a core of young, really talented local players from the Center Wellington area. And from a short distance outside of that. So I consider that Elora, Fergus, Elmira, Guelph, Kitchener, Waterloo, that whole sort of area. There's a really great young talent base of players who just graduated from junior, or they've been finished for a couple of years. They've started their career. They've moved back to that area because it's such a great area to live in, and there's lots of job opportunities. And so we're sort of reaping the benefits of everything that the area has to offer for hockey players. And you're going to see a very young team, a very fast team, and a very tough team to play against, but where its core is centered around those young local players.
How important is that philosophy to you? Is that support local thing and build local? We'll get into some of the specific players here in a minute. And obviously, for the Center Wellington area, Clayton Holscher, Jeremy Goodwin come to mind right away. They've been playing games in that Elora Community Center, what feels like forever. But why is that something that you really want to predicate building this team on, is keeping those local players in the home community? Because I think it can ultimately be a real win-win for you, Mitch.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll be 100% open about this. When Rich and I, from day one when we started doing this, I had an idea in my mind of how I envisioned our team looking. And then it wasn't until we had like Rich said right away, we need to get some young players from the area. There's, a couple good players that he trains at his gym that he knows are definitely going to be good for the team. But then we had a conversation with Clayton Holcher, and, here's the kind of guy he is. Clayton, in one night, put together a list of, doesn't matter how many local players, but it was a lot of local players. And he sort of rated players, gave us some info about them, told us things that we should know about, who they are as individuals, and as players, because that's also very important to know. But one thing he did say was, as a son of a former Elora Rocks player who was a part of the team in their heyday, he really stressed the importance of having that local feel to the team. And so right there, we knew, just in hearing his passion about it, we knew, okay, this is going to have to be the framework of our team. And, we've been saying from the start that this is just the Elora Rocks are just much about the community as they are about the hockey. We're in a unique situation right now where no one has watched a hockey game in, a year and a half. And when it comes back, who are the fans of Elora really going to want to see the most? Sure, they're going to want to see great hockey, and they're going to see a real good team. They want to see people that they know. They want to see these young guys who are thriving in their area. They want to see not only themselves, but young kids want to be able to see what a generation of hockey players from Elora and Fergus and Center Wellington have become. And, it's not just that they're great hockey players, but they're great people too. And that's one of the big things that we're looking for when we're having players committed to coming out to try out for our team, is we're looking for great people.
And that was one of the things that I was just about to say to you. You know, you just went over sort of, you know, the Clayton Holscher story and how he helped kind of be a catalyst to get different players to take a look at maybe playing for the Elora Rocks in the Western Ontario Super Hockey League. And he is a captain. He's been a captain for, you know, whatever number of years. He has leadership abilities. And those are the guys in your dressing room. And again, this is just my opinion, but those are the guys in the dressing room that you really want to build your team around. And here's the thing about Clayton Holscher, by the way, Sutherland Cup champion, and winning that title with a couple of guys who'll be, you know, potentially on your team this coming season. The players that are committed from the Elmira Sugar Kings, and let's throw out a shout out to Elmira: Jeremy Goodwin, Zach Cameron, Clay Holscher, Jacob Black. These are all guys that won that Sutherland Cup championship a couple of years ago. So that's just a nice foundation right there, in my opinion. What do you like specifically about that group from Elmira, Mitch?
Well, what I liked about that group, and we can tie it into another group later, is they're all familiar with each other. So you're not knowing from experience, being a part of another senior team that I felt didn't necessarily have incredible chemistry as a team. That was something that was really important to me, and being able to have guys like that a part of the program who know each other, they're familiar with each other, they've played together, they've won together, and this is important too, they've partied together, they've done a lot of things together, that they're already a team. And that's what I really like about some of these guys that we've brought in. But at the same time, they also know other groups. Like we have our sort of Wellesley connection that we're bringing in to try out for the team. And again, everyone still has to earn a spot on this team because no one's played a game in 16 months. There's going to be a lot of rust shown out there. But, you know, if guys like this are as good as we believe that they can be, there's going to be a lot of chemistry and familiarity with each other out there right away. That's going to be really important to us. So to have that right away, I think is going to be very important, because I know that Stratford is building their team very similar. Strathroy is building their team very similar. Tilsonburg has 3/4 of their team from last year and the year before when they were in the other senior league. They still have that team together. So being able to have that chemistry right off the bat is going to be important. And at the same time, we're adding a lot of offense, which is something that the Elora roster, in their depth lacked over the last couple of years. They had some guys. Spencer Gourlay, who is their captain last year, he has committed to return. He was their leading scorer, so we will have that. As much as we would like a guy like Andrew Whalen back, who was a catalyst for their team, I think he was their second or third leading scorer. We're not sure if he's going to come back, so there is going to be points that we needed to replace. And there's some guys, again, just with their careers or with post-COVID, fatigue. Are they going to still want to play at that high level? So we don't really know what we were going to get if we just had a whole team of unfamiliar players. So again, with those Elmira guys, having people who have played together, grown up together, it's very important to us.
And won together, right? And
yeah,
another group that won, you alluded to it a minute ago, that Wellesley trio. They win a Doherty Division championship. The players are referring to Alex Utley, who can score. He scored a big goal in Tavistock in game 1 of the championship series. That was in triple overtime. And the Applejacks go on to win the series. Sean Pickering, another guy who is committed to your team, also a captain, can put the puck in the net. And then Kyle Soper, what a talent that guy is. So you're referring to those three, and Alex Utley, Sean Pickering, and Kyle Soper joining your team potentially for the upcoming season. Those guys specifically, what excites you the most about having the Applejacks trio join you?
I don't know Kyle personally yet. I mean, yeah, we've had some conversations and things that I'm excited to get to meet him in person. I know Sean Pickering, and I know Utley a little bit through ball hockey, through that connection that both Rich and I have. So I know what good people they are, first and foremost. I didn't actually realize when I met them that there's your number one and number two all-time leading junior C point scorers in Ontario junior C hockey. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And I'm not going to poo-poo on junior C hockey or anything like that. There's always, for me, there is a hesitation at the junior C level, because knowing what, I mean, I was a junior C player myself for a couple of years, and knowing what it takes to jump to that next level. You had a mix of guys, I found when I played, where there was the guy they were an unbelievable junior C player, but they couldn't quite make the next level. And then you had that average junior C player who they could make the next level. So definitely they're going to have to prove to us that they're going to be able to play. But I mean, again, just having those guys, their familiarity with each other, and knowing what they can do offensively. And with a guy like Sean Pickering, I've seen videos of what he can do without the puck. We're excited to have physicality and a guy that's very difficult to play with on the team. And on top of that too, all three of those guys are professionals. They all have careers, and they're career-oriented people first and foremost. And I respect the crap out of that. So I'm excited to have those guys.
Agitator. That's the right word for Sean Pickering. But the agitator can also put the puck in the net. He's the kind of guy you love to have on your team, you love to have on your side, and you hate to play against. And I know that's a real sports cliche, but that could not be more true when it comes to Sean Pickering. And I saw that with the Apple Jacks over the last number of years. Let's talk about the guy behind the bench who is responsible for bringing all of this together. You announced about a week ago now, I want to say, that you've brought in Jim Boney, who, what can you say, a Elora guy with tons of experience coaching overseas in Europe. I know how excited you were to make the announcement, and I can see even now just I'm
still excited. Like I'm on cloud nine about that. Yeah. I mean, the one thing with senior hockey, and as much as the WOSHL is trying to eliminate that word senior, we're still a senior hockey league. A lot of the teams, one thing that they have really lacked is really a systematic coach in a long time. For teams like Elora and teams that I were a part of in the past, it was just like a former player or something like that, or a buddy of guys on the team who came in to help out because they needed someone to coach. To get an established coach like this, and somebody who's been around the block many times and has a total coaching pedigree that this guy has. Like Rich and I went to have a socially distanced meeting with him and meet him in person for the first time last week. He said, why don't you come by? We'll have, a beer on my front lawn. And so we went over there, and what turned into 45 minutes turned into 3.5 hours of just talking about hockey. And what an incredible guy. Like, what a very, very interesting person to hear his views on how he believes the game should be played, the type of team that he wants. We're already, with a lot of the players that we're bringing in, we're already bringing in the type of guys that he likes first and foremost. So I'm really excited to see what happens at camp when we're finally able to have it. But I mean, we're getting a guy who's won the German Elite League, the Austrian League, the German Second League with the smallest team in that's ever played in the German Elite League. He took them from a basement-dwelling second division team to, in 2 years, winning the second division and bumping them up to the German Elite League. And his stories about that and the ownership groups of the German team are incredible. And hopefully one day we can share some of these stories because it's quite awesome. The Austrian League, he said, was really incredible, and they won that. And then on top of that, he has an IIHF gold medal coaching Team Austria. Like, unbelievable.
Okay, so let me go at you this way. Obviously, you're excited. When you had that conversation with him, what excited him? What did he like about it? Because it has to be a good fit both ways, right, Mitch?
Absolutely. He wanted to make sure that there was going to be a commitment. In the past, there hasn't necessarily been the commitment from Elora players, at no fault of their own or of their management. When you're in a league where you're going to lose to, the top 3 teams on any given night when you go, it's tough to justify making practices every week and making games. He really wanted that commitment if he were going to do this. he was a part of Elora for 7 games a couple of years ago. I actually played for Shelburne when he was coaching, and we had a much better team, and they walked all over us, not necessarily because they were more skilled, but their systems were so much better than ours. And just knowing what he was able to do with what he had at that time was fantastic. So he's excited about the commitment. We introduced him to, again, great guy, Clayton Holcher. He came over and expressed, just how excited he was for the season, and expressed the excitement of the local players and the local fans that he's talked with as well. Because again, this is just as much about the community. And I think living in Elora, Jim understands what this is going to mean if we can build a winner here and a successful team, because he's seen the successes in the stands from the Elora Mohawks, and he thinks we can build the same thing here.
And here's the thing, too, that I want to point out, and you've referenced it a couple of times, Mitch, that this isn't a new franchise. Yes, it's a new league, the Western Ontario Super Hockey League, and there's 6 teams, maybe a few more coming in, and that's not what we're talking about right now. But, starting this fall, this isn't a new team. The Elora Rocks, as a whole, have been around for maybe almost 100 years. What I want to ask you, though, is what's the philosophy now to engage the community and the fans with this sort of fresh start, let's call it, with the WOSHL?
Yeah, so I mean, with the WOSHL, one of their key facets and what sold us was minimum 4 games of our 12-game home season, I guess, will have to be theme nights. There will have to be an event based around it. So whether that's a cancer fundraiser or bringing out a Rotary, or Big Brothers, Big Sisters, or school groups, or what have you, there has to be those big theme nights. And Rich Wigmore has been the brains behind organizing all of that in the community, and without giving away details, the games are going to be fun. So I'm a huge minor league sports fan, which is rare for Canadians. Every year I do trips down to the States, and I go to multiple minor league baseball stadiums, and I go to I've been to different ECHL arenas, and I've seen how I've even been to a Southern Pro Hockey League game, and I see how they run it down there. That's the philosophy that we're basing what we're doing off of. Activations for sponsors, everything is going to be involved in the event of the game night. Sure, we'll sell our jersey sponsors, our helmet sponsors, things like that. But ultimately, we want our local businesses who are entrusting us to do the right thing with their brand and get it showcased, that they are going to get the best bang for their buck out of it and showcase their brand as part of the big Elora Rocks event. Really, what Jim brought up something important the other day. The Rocks name is great. That's one thing. But a lot of what we're going to do and a lot of the apparel that we're going to have in our jersey is going to say Elora across the front. And the more we've talked with businesses, again, I won't say which ones yet, but we're designing an Elora Rocks jersey to be affiliated with a business, but they just want Elora written across the back of it where the name bar would be. And that's and the Elora Brewing Company, just those are perfect examples of how important that name is to people that live in the town and how proud they are. And we really want every event that we do in home games to be about Elora, the people, the businesses, and everything. We're trying to encompass it all together. And again, putting the best possible product out on the ice that we can so that they can, watch a winning team. But you know what? At the end of the day, if they don't remember what the score is when they left the arena, that's not such a bad thing.
One last thought for you, or one last question for you, Mitch, and maybe you've answered it already, but if you could leave the Elora community with one message right now about the Elora Rocks and this refurbished franchise, what would that message be?
There's a lot of messages that I want to leave for them, but one thing that I really want to say is we want you to be excited about this. We want to surprise you and show you something that you haven't seen in years, or for the younger generation haven't seen in Elora yet. You're going to see a very exciting, a very skilled, hardworking team and a well-coached team. We're building the philosophy of this team off of something I've always believed. The 2007 Anaheim Ducks were one of the best constructed teams of all time. They could beat you defensively. They could beat you offensively. They would outscore you. They'll out-hit you. They'll outskate you. And if you try to get rough with them, they'll beat you. And that's what we're looking at. We believe a lot of the players that we've brought in and have had discussions with about playing are going to give the fans of Elora just that.
Stay tuned. That's what we say on 519, and that's what Mitch Scott is saying. Stay tuned. Much more to come. You can follow the Elora Rocks on Instagram, Elora Rocks _ WOSHL, and they're also on Facebook. Great to see you, Mitch. Really appreciate the time, and looking forward to hopefully being in the rink this fall and covering your hockey team.
For more highlights, visit our website, 519sportsonline.ca. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.